Okay, welcome everybody. Today's video I'm going to show you how to mount the ARRIS CM3000PRO gimbal to the QX3 here. I'm going to be reusing the stock GoPro mount that came with this bind and fly unit. It's a mount that looks like this. Typically it's attached somewhat like so, and then attached to the bottom of the QX3 here, like this, and then you mount your GoPro with the GoPro mount underneath. And I know I got that wrong, something like that. Okay, so we're going to reuse this top plate here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the top plate from the CM3000PRO, and we're going to find a way to attach it to the GoPro mount. And one of the quickest ways that I've been thinking about is using zip ties. Zip ties are a lot more secure than using something like Velcro, and in addition, if you are choosing to use nuts and bolts or whatever, they tend to add a little bit more weight to it, and I'm not sure how this is going to balance out, so I'm a little cautious on the weight right now. So I'll just go ahead, I'll take this off, and I've got these smaller zip ties here. And these zip ties, now it's really up to you to determine what part of the plate you want to be facing forward. It doesn't really matter. It's all symmetrical from the gimbal's perspective. But what you'll do, one of the first things you'll notice if you were trying to reuse this GoPro mounting plate is that it's a relatively good fit. If you were to try to mount this with screws and so on, you'll see that there's a relatively good fit between the holes on the plates, so you can actually get some bolts up there and then mount it more securely. That's if weight's not an issue for you. But I'm being a little more cautious here, so I am going to go ahead and connect this using the zip ties. Okay, so right, so the first thing that you'll need to realize is that if you were to go and zip tie this on right now, you'd have no way to put your screws in and connect it to your QX3. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and try to mount this on the QX3 first, then come back and see if I can get this top plate zip tied in there. It's going to be a tight fit, but we'll see. I may end up having to drill some holes that align with the plate there. Hoping not, but I may have to. Okay. Okay, so now that I have the GoPro mount attached, got it screwed in there, and as I was saying before, I'm going to take this plate and I'm going to attach it to the other mount here using zip ties. But as you can tell, there's not a lot of clearance. The holes line up, which is a good thing. I don't have to drill any additional holes into the carbon fiber, but it's going to take a little bit of finesse. Now, I just noticed while I was playing around with this that there's a couple of ways that you can try to mount these in here, and you can come up from the bottom or go down from the top. It really depends on the orientation of your zip tie, and what I've noticed, what works best from this application is if you come up from the bottom and then connect it into your zip tie. Just a little bit. You don't want to go too snug because you got to line up the rest of the zip ties. Doesn't really matter if you zip it on this side or over here. It'll become more apparent to you when you do this for the first time. And if you're like me, you'll probably want to have a few of these zip ties on hand just in case you make a mistake. Zip ties are cheap. Damaging your parts not so much. Okay, so continue to go on here. So I'm going to continue to zip tie the rest of these, and I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, now that we're back, as you can tell, I've got some zip ties attached to the plate. And what you'll want to do next is slowly tighten each one of these a little bit so that you end up with your plate centered in the middle. If you torque one of these too soon, really tight, you won't have much room to play with the other ones when you start tightening them up. So here we go. Just going to torque these a little bit each, ever so gently. Getting close. And what you'll want to do is you want to try to get it so that the zip tie locks here are facing out to the side. And the reason being is when you put this gimbal back on, having anything that's pointing down might not be a good thing, especially when the gimbal starts to compress as it jiggles around, you know, through motion. So you want to have as much clearance inside of here as possible. So try to get it so that the zip ties are out to the side. And here we go, we're doing our final torquing. So you want to pull up and pull out. There. We're getting the final locks in place. There you go. So that's pretty rock solid there. And by my crude assessment, I'm happy with the results. It seems like it's fairly square with the rest of the quad. So what we're going to do next is go ahead and just take these little bits off. But before we do that, you know, one last little torque just to see if I've missed anything. It looks pretty good. Okay, great. So go ahead and I'll snip off the remaining bits. Now I could do a better job with this snipping. I know if I have a, maybe I'll go back over it with my X-Acto knife to get some of these sharp bits off, because those are the sorts of things that kind of wreck your hands on or your fingers when you're reaching around there. But that's pretty good for now. So what we're going to do next is we're going to grab this gimbal here, and we're going to end up attaching, turning it upside down and trying to attach the grommets back into these holes, and I'll come back and show you the end result. Okay, now that we've got the gimbal attached to the QX3, you'll see here that it doesn't look too bad. Let me just tilt this back for you here. I'll need to work on the balance, but out of the box, when you attach the gimbal and you connect your GoPro there, it doesn't require much adjustments. These things are calibrated at the manufacturing site, or so they say, and for more details on that you can check out the RC Group's comment section for this gimbal. And what they do is apparently they use I don't know, maybe a GoPro or some other dummy weight to ensure that these are balanced fairly well before they're sent out. So there you go. We're going to power this up in another video and get it operational. But as you can see, here we go. We've got it mounted to the bottom of a QX3, and I gotta say, it looks pretty sweet. Looks pretty good. So that's it. Thank you.